What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P here with another episode of Steelers Touching Under. We're talking the 5 keys to victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers this week's game, Game 2 against the Browns in their two-part series this year in 2024. They lost the first one. They've got to go win the next one at home. Steelers 5 keys to victory. Now, before we can get in those keys to victory, we have to talk about the Steelers injury report. There are only 2 players of concern. Montravius Adams is ruled out for this game as of Friday's practice, and George Pickens is questionable with a hamstring injury. So by the time you watch this, there might be a designation. By the time this comes out, it's probably about 6 hours before the game. So we'll have to see. On the Cleveland Browns side, they've got a DB, Miles Harden, out. He's questionable, sorry. Maurice Hurst, one of their key defensive linemen on the interior of their defensive line, he's out. Linebacker for them, Sam Kamara, is out as well. Cedric Tillman, their third, fourth wide receiver, he's out. Juwan Thornhill, a key contributor for them in the secondary, he's questionable. I reckon he'll end up playing, but we'll see. He didn't practice Wednesday, was limited Thursday, limited Friday. Jeremiah Thrash, the wide receiver, has a shoulder concern. He's questionable. And Jedrick Wills, their key offensive lineman, their key offensive tackle, he is out as well. So with Maurice Hurst out and Jedrick Wills out, that is 2 key contributors on the offensive and defensive lines, which will create opportunities for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this week's game. All right. Now, let's move to the look at the 5 keys to victory. Now, one of the things, and I've got this silly auto ad playing because it just wants to be frustrating. All right, I want to talk about, when we use Pro Football Reference, the 5 keys to victory based on what happened in last matchup between the 2 teams. Number 1, the first key to victory I want to talk about is shutting down the run. Now, the Steelers did that for the last game from a yardage perspective. Cleveland had 85 yards of 27 attempts. Overall, they'll be like, they probably got, I know they got more, and there was, tackles for loss than on top, etc., etc. That's standard, part of the course. But they averaged like barely more than 3 yards. Barely more than 3 yards, Cleveland. So from that perspective, the Steelers got to do the same thing this week. But where they've got to do better is not allow rushing TDs. They allowed 3 last time. If they can shut those down, that is going to go a long way to winning this game. So that's key to victory number 1. Key to victory number 2, and it's kind of key to victory number 3 as well, is sacks. The Steelers cannot allow 4 sacks for 22 yards again. They need to allow 2 sacks or less, just like last week. On the flip side, that's why it's another key to victory. The Steelers need to get 4 to 6 sacks. If they can get 4 to 6 sacks, they will win this game. There will be too much pressure on Jameis Winston. They're going to make mistakes. But the Steelers, the key to victory for them is making sure they get 4 sacks on the board, and they are shutting down Cleveland's drives, not allowing them to get first downs or an equal amount of first downs, not allowing them to convert on 3rd and 4th. That is the next segue into the 4th key to victory. The 4th key to victory is dominate possession. Just dominate it. So that means 45% plus on 3rd down conversions, or 45% 3rd and 4th combined. Last time they played, they were at 40%, or just a little bit over, like 42.5% or something. 8 from 19. So we want to see the Steelers be as close to 50% as possible on 3rd and 4th down. And we also want to see them with winning the time of possession by probably 20% of the game or more. Now it's going to mean an extra minute than what they had against Cleveland last time. But expect them to play. It's going to be a bit different from a shootout that they had last game against Cincy. This is going to be a lot more smash mouth football, a bit more traditional AFC North. The defense is a lot better from Cleveland. So that's 4 key to victories overall. The 5th key to victory is Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense need to continue to be able to get big chunk plays throughout the game. Not in the 4th quarter, not at the back end of the 2nd, throughout the game. Keep throwing the football. Keep stretching the defense. If they can find a way to stretch this defense, as good as their secondary is, they're going to create all sorts of problems in the short passing game when they want to work in the tight ends and the running backs and be a little bit more creative. That will open up the deep and the medium passing the short and the medium passing if they can get deep passing. feel like we got to see that a bit last week. I want to see that again, particularly in a home game in Pittsburgh, particularly when you're not playing in the snow. And I don't want to see Justin Fields because Russ Wilson isn't throwing the football. I want to see Russell Wilson throw the football. I said this last week. Going into the game, they were like 12 TDs, 4 interceptions. I said this is like, then we need a 3-1 is great, but they need way more TDs. Averaging 1 TD or 1 and a bit TDs a week is not good enough. I said, as long as it's 2.5 plus or better, I'm happy. They had 3 TDs, 1 interception last week. So going into this week, it's the same thing. Make sure they're throwing around the football, and that is also going to help you sustain the drives. Going to keep the ball away from the Cleveland Browns. It's going to frustrate Jameis Winston, and that is going to lead to a Steelers victory. Now, the Steelers, when they win this game, they go 3-1 in the North. They put a lot of pressure on the Ravens to beat the Steelers in their next matchup. And if the Steelers can just win this game, they're not only going to make the playoffs, they're definitely, I feel, going to win the North, because I think they're going to have too much pressure on the Ravens. And I think by the time they get to week 18 against Cincinnati, I think the whole thing is going to be done and dusted for Cincinnati. They're going to be resting players, and that's going to be a good position for the Steelers. Imagine if the Steelers get a home playoff game. That is going to be key to them going deep in the playoffs. The raucous crowd that's going to be the Steelers-Browns game, the raucous crowd that was there week 1 of the season against the Chargers, or home game of the season in week 3, a home opener that I was at. And then you think about a playoff game to come. This is going to go off. And even think about what they're going to do on Christmas Day when Marky D is there. So they're my 5 keys to victory. Do you agree with those 5 keys to victory? Is there something else that you think is vital? And what's your score prediction? Let me know in the comments. As always, go Steelers.